Right Away with Craig Murray. For more information, visit cmurray.com. Right into the danger zone. Okay, right into the danger zone. Come on now, sing it with me. You know the tune. Okay, there really isn't a danger zone in writing, but there is an uncomfortable zone. This is where you cue the dramatic music. Pretty much every week in my short story classes, I try to get people to write in different genres and different styles. Yes, I like to torture people. I don't care if you want to write romance, science fiction, murder mystery, general fiction. It really doesn't matter. You're going to become a better writer by practicing writing outside of your comfort zone. Your comfort zone is mentally easy for you. Easy to get into, easy to start. The easy part of your brain is not the great writing part of your brain. There are a lot of different reasons for doing this. The development of skills, the development of language and how you use it, the adaptation of both your writing style and, more importantly, the speech patterns and characters and different genres we'll use. Mr. Darcy, it's such a lovely morning. The wind blows so softly across the moors I can smell the delightful little flowers that grow along the hedgerow. Would you be so kind as to pass me the grenade launcher? It would appear the alien mothership has disgorged a number of unpleasant characters that are slobbering their way towards us now. Yeah, it's not really working, although it could be really funny. Romantic language is a very particular style, as is science fiction and horror and everything in between. You don't want to be a one-trick pony. You want to expand your repertoire and your skills as much as possible. A number of years ago, I had a woman who only wanted to learn to write horror. I tried to get her to expand herself, expand her views on the complexity and the totality of characters in the writing, and everything that goes into it. I asked a fairly simple question. What is it that scares you? Realistically, none of us are afraid of Frankenstein's monster showing up, or the mummy, or some slithering, slobbering, multi-fanged monster. If you want to find out real fear, have your phone ring at 3 a.m. Have somebody banging on your door, or the police show up. That's fear. Your first thought, has something happened? Is someone hurt? Are my kids okay? We're afraid of the idea of loss. You're afraid of losing a loved one, someone we care about. That's far more terrifying than any imagined monster. And this brings us to the reason why. If you want to write horror, understand love. Think about it. It's love that fuels our sense of loss. It's our love for that other person that really makes our heart beat that much harder. So I told her to write love stories. Write love stories about unrequited love, about lost love, about heartfelt sorrow. That will teach you how to write horror. I know somebody else who only wanted to write science fiction. Good, hard, high-tech stuff with lots of flashing lights and control systems and cool things like that. He was definitely smart enough and capable enough to write scenes and stories that perfectly encapsulated those technical aspects. But it fell flat because there was no interpersonal writing. There was no feeling or emotion or depth of character because he was far too caught up in the technical. Now, personally, I love a good technical science fiction story. The author can create the fantastic and yet still believable in their own way situations and scenarios and technologies. But your story still needs to be character-driven. If not, then realistically, why even have people in space when you could have automated ships and robots collecting stuff? It might be more logical and efficient, and it just makes for a crappy and boring story. So he began to write interpersonal stories that were not science fiction. He wrote about relationships and feelings and people. And of course, that translated into all of his writing. All of a sudden, all of his characters had depth. They were more than just a collection of engineers doing engineering things. We could laugh with them, worry for them, relate to them. And that's the most important thing. Writing characters we can relate to. This wouldn't have happened if he hadn't written outside of his preferred genre. And you need to do that as well. We're writers. We are creators of brand new worlds and brand new people no one's ever seen before. We're the tellers of fantastic and wonderful tales that people will dive into, get lost in, and then surface, breathless, exhilarated, and happy. This is what we do. And to do that, we need to be able to be as mentally expansive as possible. We need to be able to reach further than we thought we could, pull out scenarios and emotions that we never thought about before. You need to try this. You need to do this. Every week, give yourself a challenge to write something completely new and completely different than you normally write. Make it a challenge, your only weekly competition with yourself. You can have a great deal of fun taking a subject or scenario and then thinking, okay, I'm going to write this as a horror story or maybe a science fiction or a romance. And then for each one, you can keep the same characters, the same scenarios, but change the language. Change what they need to do. Sink yourself into each one of their individual genres long enough to pull out a little short story. Get out of your comfort zone. Now, I've joked, partly as a joke and partly quite serious, that you should try to do this. As an author, you can't be afraid of words. No word or scenario or anything else should scare you. You should be able to dig deep into yourself, into the various realities and emotions and all the other things that drive people. And I say to them, write porn. Okay, at least one of you's let out a little yelp and said, no. But hear me out. This isn't necessarily to be shared with anyone. This is your own secret project, and it should be done in stages. The reason for this is to eliminate your fear of words. The other is to make you uncomfortable in writing. The final and most important is to remove you from writing. I'll explain. It's in that uncomfortable feeling that you'll find some real depth about yourself and therefore your writing. So the first story should be fairly tame. Just an overdone bodice ripper, lots of kissing and groping. Now we have to ramp it up a bit. The next one should be far more explicit. Use all the naughty words you can think of. Blush while writing. You can do it. You can get through it. The next one is something you might never consider doing. Have your characters do outrageous things in naughty ways. I'm not going to give you any ideas. I don't want to get blamed for anything. But think of something you just never consider doing. The exact opposite of any of your own desires. It should be too far out. Now write about it. Last, but certainly not least, write another one as hardcore as the last, but now use your name and the name of somebody else you know. Why would you want to do that? To disassociate yourself. You are not your characters. You are not your words. You're the creator of them, the controller of them. You will find and push through your limits only by finding and pushing through your limits. You have to write into the danger zone.